TikTok, it's time to rock, ladies and gentlemen. We found Ben. He didn't go missing. He was just sticking to the timetable absolutely perfectly as his experience has always dictated he should do. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Oh, man. I've been looking forward to this since you reached out to me a month or so ago. You said, hey, let's do this. And I said, of course, which is generally any time you've reached out to me over the years. Let's do this.
Oh, look, I appreciate it. Appreciate it, bro. I was just looking, I was doing some research, ladies and gentlemen. Ben's going to tell you a little bit more about himself if you aren't aware of who Ben is and his connection with our channel here. A lot of you are, but we're sure that some people that come back and watch our streams later on may not. And I promise we'll include Ben's social media links here. When he's talking, I'll drop something in the chat. But before I continue, it's really, really important, folks, if you can do me a favor. On our community page, on our channels page, we have a whole lot of channels there, friends of our channel that have helped us. It's really easy for you to do. Just go and subscribe. Subscribing to a channel is the easiest thing you can do, but boy, is it really important for channels. So if you can do that, if you can go and subscribe to Ben and everyone else there, we'll be grateful. But Ben, 4 years ago, brother, you had the honor of being my first guest.
Well, you know, that involved a conversation, which was I've been known, Andrew, as you know, to have an opinion on things. And I was in a chat one night and somebody was going off about some guitar player. And I said, well, he's got nothing on Ronnie Wood. And then all of a sudden, Andrew's Brit Rock radar just went bing, ding. Nobody references Ronnie Wood. Yeah. Let alone in this particular chat. And he went, hey, Ben. I said, what's up, buddy? He says, do you like the Stones? I like the Stones. He says, I like the Stones too. I was like, yeah. He says, do you want to come on and talk about the Stones? And I said, yes, I would very much. And I had a wonderful chat with Andrew and Carl, and we talked. And then I realized really quick that, this way, because it's not Google Hangouts. This guy here, he does the deep dive, and all of a sudden, within 10 minutes, I was like, whoa, this guy knows his stuff. And I've been using this channel as an encyclopedia ever since, Andrew. I think you know that, man.
Oh, bro, thank you very much for the nice words. One of the great things about our channel here is it's always been a collective and a collaboration between myself and our co-host. So I've got to do a shout out.
I've never been a good rudder for your ship, because you'll text me at times, say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and every single time I'm like, go for it. Yeah. Because whenever you would do something, you would do it and do it well. So you're like, I'm thinking about doing this. Go for it.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that, and that was always something that we did. And so, you know, we've got to do a shout out to the Rock Professor and to Brad and to Hoss and a couple of other previous hosts that we've had on the channel. But
because it was 4 years in the world of YouTube, Andrew, and if anything's constant in YouTube world, it's change.
Yeah. Change
for so many reasons.
But I think also you got to keep, I suppose, on doing what you do, and we're going to talk a little bit more, ladies and gentlemen, about what Ben does on his channel and what we do here. Some of the things that we've picked up over the last 4 or 5 years that might help you if you
this is an open book, folks.
Yeah.
Inside baseball.
If you decide to go and do what
YouTuber 101. How to do your own DIY punk rock channel, which doesn't talk about punk rock. Well, unless somebody asks in the chat, and then you talk about it, but then you don't.
Yeah.
So that's how that
Yeah,
works.
well, YouTube
I see a
give
lot
you
of
a
familiar
few
names in the
clues.
chat here, which is all part of our amazing community, Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube give you a lot of clues, but they don't tell you it all. So that's probably the key for this show, ladies and gentlemen, that we want to pass on, because one of the things that we pride ourselves on our show, Ben, is that we want to help people, you know, and especially the people like yourself that have helped us and everyone else. So, you know, that's what it's about. But, Ben, I suppose, you know, a lot of people in the chat here know who you are. But before we get and start talking about some other little nitty-gritty things, give us your biography, Ben, for people who don't know you.
Well, grew up in small town Ontario, Canada. Son of a musician, so grew up around music. So I figured it was only a matter of time before I started trying to play one of these things. And, you know, messed around with it like a lot of people as a teenager, and then put it down for about a decade, and then picked it up about a decade and a half ago now. Wow. Yeah. Time flies. And, you know, started playing in some bands, gigging, doing that thing. And I discovered YouTube. I used to use YouTube like Google. It was just a reference tool. Hey, what does this pedal sound like? And I'd find a gear demo and watch it. It's just that all it was an information resource. But then I discovered this whole YouTube community thing where people were hanging out in a live situation and live streaming and interaction. And I was like, well, this is cool. And as I was getting less busy playing with bands, I thought, hey, let's do this as another piece of the pie, because anybody that's played in a band knows, or pays attention to the music industry knows, you got to have your fingers in about 26 different pies to make a living. And so, you know, I saw the potential of YouTube. I'm thinking, there's something going on here. You know, I've been around music business, I've been around acting. There's something going on here, like behind the scenes, where there's a possible revenue stream. And that was just thinking like gear demos. I saw Phil McKnight. I liked his style. It was straightforward, honest. And I thought, well, that's cool. And then I saw a variety of guys doing the live stream thing. Like the first channel I ever subscribed to was Steve from Boston, one of the OGs of YouTube. And loved Steve, loved his channel, loved his stories and that community. And I thought, can you do both? And I saw Phil McKnight did both. So I thought, I want to do a Phil McKnight channel. That lasted about 6 months, Andrew. And then, you know, I tried to go the straight and narrow route, you know, like Andrew gave me, he gave me a set of, well, I don't want to call them rules. They're more guidelines, because Andrew's a cool guy. He gave me a list of guidelines, and I went, nope, don't do that on my channel. Nope. And I said, I'm going to do this because we're friends. And he says, I didn't even have that on my list, but thankfully you brought that up, because that's the kind of guy I am. So if you want vanilla milkshakes, watch Phil McKnight. And he makes the best vanilla milkshakes in the world, Andrew. But I am not a vanilla milkshake. Especially, I morphed into eventually where, let's do a live stream for 2 years without a name, Andrew. You've always had a name for your shows. I didn't have a name for my Sunday show. It was, hey, Ben's live on Sundays. Oh, yeah? What's it called? Everyone has a cute little name for the shows. They're like, I don't know. Sometimes he interviews people. Sometimes he just hangs out. Sometimes he works on guitars. And then started interviewing people like yourself, you know, which is just as much get to know everybody as anything else, because it's hard to meet and talk in a chat sometimes. And lo and behold, hey, other people wanted to come on my channel and hang out and meet me as much as anything else. And that turned into kind of the Sunday night hang, well, you know, which originally I was myself and a co-guitar player from my band and best friend started a live Q&A show because, hey, Andrew,
you
want to go live and don't have a clue what to do for a topic, live Q&A.
Yeah.
Just call it live Q&A if you have no other idea for a basis of show. Live Q&A. And Richie and I would do that. And we did that for a year and a half. And
Yeah, yeah, I love those shows. I love the fact that you guys got on there and had that organic, authentic
Mm-hmm.
aspect to your show, and
Enough that a
that
lot of
was
people thought we were brothers. I remember
no,
initially.
no, you're better looking than him. That's clear. That.
It was just like,
But
no, we're just best friends. That's why they're like, well, you guys have chemistry. Well, we've been in bands together for years and we're best friends. I hope we do have chemistry. But
yeah,
yeah,
that was
sorry
one
to
of the
interrupt.
thing. That was one of the things that we particularly liked about what you guys were doing over there was that that organic authenticity that you have, and that's the best way to do it. That's the
Mm-hmm.
best way to do it, Ben. Hey, can you see the chat? And because you're a guest here, we've got about 11 people watching us. Do you want to say hi to everyone? Do you want to do a shout
I
out?
do.
Thank you.
I see a lot of familiar names and I think some
Thank you.
new. Let's see. We've got the one and only Robert Ranford, Christopher Live Sawa, who I'm pretty sure has seen every single performing band in concert ever.
Oh, no.
Johnny Heartbreaker. Good to see you, my friend. New name for me. I love it, though. Johnny Heartbreaker. Holly Lewis. Good to see Holly. Dan of New Jersey. I believe he's in New Jersey. Keith
I
Campbell.
hope so.
Keith Campbell and I get along on so many levels. Because it's like, hey, do you like Van Halen? Yeah. Do you like NASCAR? Yeah. Oh, we're going to get along. We do. We do. Nightbot. Never heard of Nightbot. No, wait. Indonesian Prison, right? Yeah. Right. Greg Roberts Tune. New name for me. Great to see. Let's see, who else do we have here? Andy Carson. That name sounds vaguely familiar because I see him around YouTube chats, and including my own. Maybe that's why he's vaguely familiar. Tim Thomas. Tim and I go way back, like 3 or more years, I'm going to say. Yep. Richard Schaffner. See, there's always one in the chat. You've heard me do roll call. There's always one. It's always one. Robert, good to meet you. Fruitcake Tony.
Good friend.
Never heard of him.
Good friend of the channel.
Yes. Fruitcake Tony, by the way, I'm going to be on his channel tomorrow night. I'm on tour this weekend, Andrew. I'm on tour.
Fantastic.
I'm doing my New Zealand date tonight, and then I'm flying. I'm flying over to North Carolina for tomorrow night. It's going to be great. Who else do we have in here? Facebook user. Hello, Facebook user. The 5150 show. Never heard of it. No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Nice. And then there's people complaining about me being like, yep, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll get down to the bottom just in case. Just in case. I don't want to miss someone like Sandra, apparently, because I see people saying hey to Sandra, but I miss Sandra. See, there's Sandra. And Symmetry, Brother Trev.
Thank you, Trev.
He lives between us, but closer to me.
Oh, fantastic. I like Trev. He's an awesome guy. Fantastic. Yeah. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed to Fruitcake Tony's channel too, please go and help him subscribe too, because he's a very good friend, both of our channels as well. So I'll look forward to catching up with you.
For the community.
Yeah. I'll look forward to catching up with you guys tomorrow when you guys are... So what's the topic of the show tomorrow?
The band Nazareth.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I'm looking forward to that. Yep. I got to dig up my Nazareth concert DVD. I should watch that again. Homework and all.
Yeah. It's always a good thing to do that. Great band. Hey, might be a good opportunity for us to do a bit of a shout out to the memory of Dave Nesdale. What do you reckon? I don't think you and I have spoken together about Dave Nesdale. I know that you've done a couple of shows with him over the years. Yep. We've done a couple of shout outs to him. We've had the fortune to have Ty on and spent a bit of time shouting out to Dave. So a great friend of me personally through social media. Also a great friend of our channel. I've got a bit of a story to tell about Dave, but I'll give Ben an opportunity to do a bit of a shout out to Dave's memory. Would you like to do that, Ben?
Sure, I would like to do that. And I'm thinking back to the week, unfortunately, the week that he passed away. Andrew was waving the Dave Nesdale banner like as soon as I would go into a chat. He's like, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Ben's doing a tribute to Dave. I still get a little choked up thinking about it, which I appreciate, Andrew, because like I said, we've all known each other basically the same amount of time. Well, at least for me, like I met you basically the same time I met him in many ways. So, whether I see someone or read someone, it's the same thing. Personalities come across. And that's one thing he and I both do. Our personalities will come across in the chat. We don't need a special font. You get it. And so, Dave, what a guy. It's funny because he got accused of being braggy at times, but no, that was like pulling teeth to get these stories and information out of him at times. I always consider him quite humble. For the amount of times after, especially when doing a show with him, for the last year or so, he's like, I don't know why people tune in sometimes. I'm like, are you kidding me? Or he's like, oh, nobody's going to tune in tonight because we don't have some guest. And it's like, we're okay. We don't need a guest, Dave. You're Dave. He's like, yeah, people watch for you too. Dave, I'm just here to play off you. And I think you saw that, Andrew, because Dave was very straight ahead guy, no BS. So I could play off of him a bit of a comedic side of things. And, it was nothing better than just start bullshitting Dave, excuse my language, but and then all of a sudden he realizes 30 seconds in that what I'm talking about is complete malarkey, and all of a sudden, bingo! Hey, Zach, great to see Zach.
Good to see you, brother. Look, I agree with you. I think one of the great things that I loved about Dave Nesdale, Ben, when I was watching him, is that he always had his opinion, and I loved it, and he could always back it up. And if you wanted to argue with him, well, good luck.
Yeah, but I will say, he was willing to argue, but he wouldn't just like shout you down. He'd hear you out and then call you out on your BS, or lay out the facts why what you're saying is completely wrong, but just the knowledge base. And unfortunately, the last couple of years, his memory wasn't as good as it used to be. But then it was one thing you could trigger him, because if you asked him a question in the chat, all of a sudden he'd go off on something. I was like, how do you know this? I feel a lot more confident buying a vintage piece of gear after knowing that man for a couple of years. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, you're right. And, the sad thing for me and our channel being about, Dave, is that, for a year, we had been trying to get him on.
Right.
And as you guys would appreciate, because we're here in New Zealand, you have to work out time zones with people in North America, and it's never the same day. Mm-hmm. So we locked in a couple of slots to get Dave on, but Dave couldn't, for a lot of reasons, make three shows. So we managed finally to get him on with Rob Johnson. And I spoke to him the Saturday or the Sunday, the 2 days before he passed, and he was looking forward to coming on because we were going to do a show talking about Music Man guitars, Ben. And we were wrapped. I personally, I was wrapped on, wow, we're going to get this guy on to talk about one of the greatest guitars I like.
Mm-hmm.
And, a couple of days later, he passes away. So,
right.
Yeah, sad situation, but
and it's funny because he at times it could be just us, or it could be he's I got this guy I've known for 35 years coming on, and it was always some form of a character, whether it be a local player to whatever, you don't know, or he said, I lined up Johnny Halen for tomorrow night. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm talking chicken picking with the master chicken picking, or or one of the Hellcasters, or it's crazy. Or the guy was in phone calls, Andrew, The man did not text. He called you on the phone. And the amount of times, like, you know, when you
Correct.
jump on StreamYard and you're sitting in the green room, he would have his windows already open. So there's, you know, his living room, and he's on the phone. And he's, yeah, buddy, I'll talk to you, you know, next Tuesday. Blah, 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 you know, just, you would think he was talking to Uri. He gets off, oh, that was Brad Gillis. Of course it was.
Wow.
Of course it was. Because he made friends with people. And then when he made a friend, you know, as you know, Andrew, when you made a friend in Dave Nesdale, he was your friend. And he would call you and, oh, yeah, missed the guy.
Yeah,
what's up, John Shane?
Yeah, I was never that close with Dave, but I will, you know, I'm going to back up what Ben said there. I remember texting him not long after I bought my Axis, my Music Man Axis, and I remember texting him saying to him, should I change the Floyd Rose, you know, the trem that's in there, the Music Man trem out with the German Floyd Rose? And he replied back saying, can you talk? And I said, yep. And he rang me and he said, what would you want to do that for? The Music Man Floyd Rose is fantastic. Don't touch it. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave.
Yep. Now, if for some reason it has an issue, fine, go ahead, right? But it's funny you mentioned that, because I too have a Music Man access, and I partially blame David Nesdall for that, and an EVH Wolfgang. Now, literally, and I think I told the story on my channel recently, but I haven't told it on this one, so I will. So a buddy calls me up, and he says, hey, I got these guitars for sale. Far out, you know. So I go over, and he's got these two guitars. Now, I know enough about them, you know, that I have an idea, you know, but I don't know. I said, all of a sudden a customer comes in the store, because we're in the back room. He says, I got to deal with it. I said, do you mind if I take a couple photos and talk to a buddy? He says, nope, go ahead. Immediately snap a couple photos, off to Nesdal. What do you think? What are they worth? Right? I got the same reply you did. Can you talk? So he calls me up. What you got there is, you know, they're made this time, this tape, probably this guy made them, and they're made, you know, so, oh, okay, you know, if you can get them for this, you know, perfect, you know, you can always flip them over if you don't bond with it, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, thanks. Yeah, turn the guy, said, what do you want for him? And the number he gave was lower than the number Dave quoted, so what do? You buy them.
Sure. Yeah, and you know, rest in peace, Dave. You know, in our community, you know, you'll always be a giant, and you know, I just think it was.
And every guitar he bought, that guy bought a lot of guitars, Andrew. But every guitar he bought, he's like, "Look at this!" And it was like a kid getting his first guitar. Every guitar was like his first guitar. This is the best guitar ever.
Yeah,
he was the only guy I've ever seen drop a custom shop Les Paul live on air. Yeah.
No, it was important, I think, for you and I at least to acknowledge him, because we had that connection with him, and you know, and where I come from, being connections are important. You know,
Dave Nesdall was one of my first guests ever on my channel.
Yes, and yeah, I remember that, and he was. And then I loved watching you guys. I never watched you guys hardly live, but as you would remember, you know, I always watched your replays at work, and I would, you know, make a comment and stuff like that. So that's what I liked about it, because you guys had that in-depth appreciation of guitars, and you know, with a bit of fun and a bit of humor, because if you don't have that, you don't have a show.
Exactly.
Hey, so look, guys, if we've got 20 odd people watching us, it's really, really important, guys, if you can take our link, this link here, and share it on your social media accounts. When Ben goes live too, guys, if you guys are watching Ben, do the same thing too. If you can share social media, if our, you know, links that we do on other social media platforms, it's going to help our channels.
YouTube takes note of that. Like, literally, if you run certain browser extension programs within the YouTube studio, it will tell you, like, oh, this video has been shared on Facebook. This video has been shared on Reddit. This video has been shared on Instagram. And
Correct.
as such, they're like, oh, it must be pretty good if somebody's actually taking the time to share it, because of the millions of videos that are uploaded every day, most of them aren't shared.
Correct.
So when you
Correct,
do
Ben.
share something, it makes a difference.
Absolutely, and it's about, obviously growing our channels, and
Yes.
this information, that analytics becomes really, really important, and you get that, don't you, Ben, once you reach 1,000. So the 1,000 mark.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you, Ben, when you got to 1,000, obviously you would have noticed, like our channel here, you would have noticed the growth. YouTube likes you a little bit better.
I did notice a slight jump, but then it's weird because yes, I would say up to like the 1,500 mark, and then it's kind of on your own. And then it's kind of been flat until you hit apparently 5,000, and then 5,000 is another unwritten. You won't find any information about this other than conspiracy theory videos or whatever. But yeah, I've heard 5,000 subscribers does. Then they really push you further. But it's I do like the fact that they are making it easier to grow your channel within the community than they used to. Like a lot of features that you used to have to have 50,000 subscribers to get certain features, but now they're like, nah, if you get the 1,000, you're legit, which is nice. So I think more people, sup, Ninja Legend. I think, like, let's take someone like Tony, who's on the cusp. I think he will notice more of a difference than you and I, and I really think that. But holy crud on a cracker, Andrew, your channel, it was weird because for the longest time, mine was kind of growing at 1.5 times yours was, I'll say, for like up until a year ago, it seemed. And then also once you hit that, then it was okay. We're kind of even, and then I had the space, and I was like, okay, and because I always look at my classmates, and we're both class of 2018, and and then all of a sudden, and you've overtaken my channel. I'm like, go, because I'm just going to slip in behind you and get the draft. NASCAR reference. Keith Campbell's laughing.
I think, and thank you for mentioning that, Ben, because obviously it's a collaboration. Whatever you do on YouTube and having people in your chat especially, and Ben's going to back me up on this, whatever the hosts and co-hosts do on the channel, that's one thing. That's one separate component of what you do. But if you have people in your chat regularly, and this is one thing that I want to emphasize to people, sharing the show links on other like Facebook groups and getting people to share it. Ben, we noticed a huge jump. For example, we got a couple of people that watch our channel from Brazil, and they've been sharing our links in the Brazilian community for about 6 months. And as you know, when you get your subscribers, you can see people that subscribe to you. And what we do is we subscribe back automatically. So you see all these people. So it takes you a while to subscribe back. And yeah, what that's one of the key things too. So if you like a channel or a group of channels, just cut that link and go and put it on a Facebook group somewhere, and you'll be surprised how much of an impact, Ben, that has.
Remind me to but that on Tuesday, Keith. I'll talk to you about Indy cars at Talladega. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The sharing is yes. What the host, co-host, whatever the on-screen talent, for lack of a better term, is, this is just audience retention.
Sure.
Right? Because you got to do something decent, or at least be a personable person.
Sure.
Like, that's the way I see it. Fortunately, people seem to enjoy me being me, because I know on certain occasions I've hit that go live button and I brought nothing to the table for 2 hours. But other than just being me and hanging out, and whatever it be, and people like, hey, I like that guy, I'll stick around. Awesome, Keith. Yeah. So, because there are certain channels that I've watched and I was just like, I don't get it. And I'll give a channel a couple because, like, say, anybody can have a bad night. But I'm just like, you have the personality of cardboard. Like, it's sorry.
Yeah, look, yeah, I've said this on some of our live streams, Ben, and I'm going to share it again because I'm always fascinated by it. What we do here, and what Ben does on his channel, we're just a little bit. Just a small fraction of what people watch and do on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I've said this before. There's a guy that talks about golf balls who subscribe to us, and we subscribe. He's got 370,000 members, and he talks about golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating. Yeah. And he gets, 300 or 400 people in his chat, Ben.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's like, was it like van life people? Okay, you're off seeing all these amazing adventures. Okay, I understand those big jumps, but there's like people that just live in their van, and but they just have a day job and they happen to live in a van, and I'm like, you have nothing other than the fact that you live in a van. That's it, and 50,000 subs. I was like, sure, camping video, millions of subscribers, and they're just it's a guy in a tent out in the woods, and other people are watching. Now, granted, less mosquito bites watching someone else camp. I like that idea. Way less mosquito bites. So, and
it's always fascinating. But that's one thing. It's one thing that's that reinforced.
I have one for you.
How big YouTube is. It's
did you
phenomenal.
See, last week I released a video on some antique engines, single cylinder antique engines.
Yes.
Okay. So I witnessed YouTube last week deciding to turn on one of your videos, Andrew. Okay. Because let's take like something I've been doing that's not good for the algorithm because I'm a guitar channel. I've been doing soda pop reaction videos. One of those videos gets about 75 views the first 24 hours. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Another 25 views the next 24 hours. So 100 views after 48 hours.
Yep.
I put up this video regarding a couple antique engines. We start them up. It's about a 7-minute video. Okay? I put it up the first day, the usual guys, 75, 80 of you went, hey, that's cool. The next morning at 6 a.m., Andrew, YouTube decided to promote the video.
Sure.
It was getting 500 to 600 views an hour for 6 hours, and then they turned it off, and it went back to 3 views an hour.
Yeah. We noticed that with our Led Zeppelin video. We did a show a couple of weeks ago, and for about 4 days it was, and then now it's not getting any views. I can't work that out, Ben. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I think. It was maybe because not enough people subscribed. Like I only got 3 subscribers out of that little push, but whatever. Oh. I don't know. All of a sudden I was like, oh, like what's going on here? I'm like, did somebody share this somewhere that I'm not like some huge antique engine Facebook group or something?
Probably. So from our experience, that works, and I'm going to tell you why it works.
It was all from YouTube views. They weren't external views, because you can track where they come from. And I was
yeah. Well, it's interesting you should say that because we've gone and picked back catalog videos, and we've put them on social media links or on our community page and say, hey folks, go and watch this, and you get 400 or 500 views.
Interesting.
Yeah, go and promote your back catalog.
Make a couple of videos private, let them sit private for a week, and then you republish them. Hey, this is a rerun. I've seen this. Look, I already hit the like and everything.
Yeah. But look, I agree with you, Ben. I think it's one of those interesting things. YouTube give you enough, but a lot of it's trial and error.
It is. And the one helpful thing YouTube says, hey, that video was successful. Do more stuff like that. Like I'll get that. And I'm sure you've had it where because if you tag the right people, like if you happen to have a big guest on or something, like I had Pete Thorne on. They're like, hey, do more videos like that. Sure, Andrew. I'd love to have rock stars on every week, but it doesn't work that way.
I'd love to get Pete Thorne
I'm
on.
just who I am. I can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
That did well. Why don't you get Steve Vai on next week? Sure. Do you have his number?
Yeah. We're going to have Mick Fleetwood back. Mick Fleetwood is coming on our channel. Yeah. He's going to talk about just some drummer and some band, played in a couple of bars, Ben.
Yeah, did a gig or two. There might, there might be a story or two involved with the band. I heard there might have been a bit of drama with the band once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice. Still going though.
Possibly the most drama-filled band ever.
One of them. There's a
Up
lot.
there,
And we've
right?
been lucky enough to be associated with a couple of guys who are getting together a book on the Peter Green version of the band. Jeff
Nice.
Loventhal, who took a lot of the photos when they were in Chicago.
Cool.
I think that book is going to be released, Ben, in a couple of months' time. So we've been blessed, fortunate, and very lucky to be associated with promoting that book too, Ben. So, so if that's had some kind of influence with our channel growth too, if you get something that's related to your channel, Ben, something that's related to what you're doing, there is, I'm sure, Ben, there's going to be some kind
we
of
did what was it on
connectivity.
Fruitcake Tony's channel a couple months ago? We did an episode on Steve Clark, and he got thousands of views on that. Because and I said no kidding, because if you do a search on YouTube for Steve Clark, there's nothing out there. Like you can get a bunch of 2-minute video clips, then all of a sudden a 2-hour show.
Yeah. And it's one of those interesting things, isn't it? Because, the rock professor, when he comes on and we do the ranking of the tracks, his motive was always to, well, look, if people are going to go back, Ben, and renegotiate or negotiate or listen to these albums that we think are important and get something from it, that's it. We've done our job.
Yep. Exactly. I was just seeing that. Yeah, young upcomers like the YouTube and cover bands used to get on shows. But hey, Jay.
Hey Jay, good to see you, brother. He's another guy, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are watching on playback, if you go to our communities page, you'll see Jay's channel over there, Under the Bus Network. Please subscribe to their channel. Those guys have a weekly show as well. Jay was
Wednesday
always
nights or Thursday afternoons, depending on your perspective.
Yep. Joe was always a supporter of our channel, guys, and came on and did a couple of shows with us. So we always appreciate that, Jay, and we'll do anything we can to help anybody that's helped us, Ben.
Damn straight. I agree.
There's Christopher again saying, go Cubs. He's stirring. So, Ben, So tell us a little bit about one of the key ingredients to help our channel was the introduction of a regular Van Halen themed show.
Sure,
that was a little bit different from other shows. And now
if there's one guy you can talk about, I said it before I even discovered this community, was Van Halen / Eddie Van Halen is someone you could talk about more than any other person, because not only was he a great guitar player, he was in a great band as well, which there is a difference, because you can have great guitar players in okay bands, but they had a great catalog of material to talk about. Great guitar player, plus he had his brand, his company, so you had that whole thing to talk about. So I thought, well, wow, that is someone you could talk about more than anyone else in many ways. And I liked it. As soon as you said you were going to do the 5150 show, I went, yes, because I knew you were in Eddie Head. And then I'd seen what you'd done with blues or British blues rock, classic rock. I don't know. First Invasion, we'll go with that. So I was immediately intrigued. Yeah, and there's room for everybody on this boat. Jeez Louise. You know, it's like, those guys do the Kiss show. Those guys do the Van Halen show. Those guys do the Rush show. No.
Yeah.
No.
That was kind of an accident doing that Van Halen show because we just did a memorial. You know, obviously,
Right.
you know, Eddie was a huge influence on a lot of us as music fans and guitar players. And when he passed away, I think it was about a week or 2 weeks later, we did our tribute, and Steve Anderson came on, and as a guest, and you know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And he sent a message, and he said, "Look, how about we do this fortnightly?" And we said, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, no problem." So we did that for a while, and you know, I've got to be honest, Ben. You know, bringing that Van Halen component into the channel helped. You know,
Sure.
we get into a stage now where we have to look at probably doing the Van Halen shows during the week, because getting Hoss on in the weekend, because he's gigging now. It was okay a couple of months ago when they were in lockdown, because he didn't have anything to do.
I was going to say, you can get a lockdown rock star, but rock stars got to rock, and it's hard.
Yeah.
You got to get them between the rocking and the rolling, so you have that brief segment. I get it. You know, I've been wanting to get Haas back on my channel, but I know he's been busy, so just ease off. You know, there's a few guys like that, because, you know, summertime here in North America, they're all out gigging, and it's I do have a shopping list of guys. You know, usually I have a good show when they're on. We'll say that from the YouTube side of things. You know, it's a guaranteed 500 views, you know, type thing. So, yeah, always look for new people too, of course. Set the bar. Hey, Bent Tom. He's back to being Bent. It's not just Tom anymore.
Yeah.
He did that in time for RJ's show tomorrow morning, because he would have confused RJ. I get you.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
I get it.
Yeah. So we look forward to maybe getting something back on track, being with Van Halen. But you know, gosh, you know, getting news on Van Halen, you know, it's not really kind of, you know, stuff coming out weekly, you know, and how many times,
and they've always played it close to the vest as a organization. So, yeah.
And how many times are we going to talk about fair warning and carnal knowledge?
Right. Or the tones they're in, and
Yeah. You know, gets to a stage, bro, where you're repeating yourself 50,000 times, and it's that's
where Tony has it right. He just has Halenville, so he could just morph into Wolfgang news as well. You see,
he's clever,
perfect.
Yeah, clever when they do that. But look, we look forward to, I suppose,
John Conklin.
When it comes down to Van Halen stuff. I suppose these new books that are coming out, Steve Rosen's book. That's going to be...
Well, I'm hearing that some NDAs are expiring, for whatever that means, but, you know...
What does that mean?
I think that's just a sad state of every entertainment industry, where, you know, everyone's, ooh, they signed NDAs. Work for any star, Andrew. You sign in, that's the first thing you sign before your employment contract, you know?
Okay.
That's standard. So, to an extent. And I think that's something... that's smart, probably, in today's world for bands, especially
Hey, John.
If you're a younger band. I don't think so much with the older bands, because they're such a corporate machine now in many ways, but a young band, you know, the term, good thing they didn't have camera phones back then. Well, you know, you still want to live like a rock star when you're 25 and you're making lots of money or selling records. Do they do either anymore? I don't know. All I'm saying is you just make sure the road crew has no phones out.
Yeah, good on you, John. You saw the Van Halen signal, had to join in. Thank you, John. Right. Always good to see you, brother. Good
Another
to see
great
you.
interviewer as well. I love John Conklin's interviews.
John. Well, actually, John. This is one of the great things about doing YouTube channels, guys. Right from the word go, we always said if you're in our chat and you want to come on and do a show with us, let us know. We'll have anybody, Ben. We'll have anybody that's in the chat come on.
Clearly, I'm here.
Yeah, and and that invitation is open, obviously, to anyone now. And we got John on a show. He did a show for us, and I remember Brad and I were thinking, "Wow, this guy's great. This guy's good."
Yep. It's funny because, well, like say, the level of nerdery when it comes to Van Halen, I didn't know existed until I discovered YouTube. But I will say, John Conklin could be interviewing somebody about the most mundane aspect of what, we're going to talk for 10 minutes about this scratch on the guitar.
Sure.
But he does it in a way that I'm like, really? Huh.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. I'm entertained. I was like, okay, you're good. And that's why I say to anybody, you want to start a channel? If you have a name in the chat, you have a channel. That's why I always get a kick out of is people in chats like, oh, you have a channel? What's it called? You see my name. That's that's how it works. That's how it works. And you are your own producer, director, writer, all that fun stuff. Or you just, you have two ways to go. You go live and you do that and you make your own TV show, or you make little home movies and pop them up for viewing pleasure. Either way.
Yeah.
And it's all good and it's all fun. And just, for every jerk that's out there, there's 99 cool kids. So ignore the jerks and hang out with cool kids like us.
Well, we've been pretty lucky. We've been pretty lucky, Ben, on our journey so far. We haven't had too much trouble. We've been...
Speak for yourself.
We haven't had a lot of issues. Most of the people that have been in and around us have been all, fantastic. No,
I've had a transient crowd the last 4 years, Andrew. You're one of the few. You probably know, 10% of the people from my chat 4 years ago are still around? Guitar Man 45 and Charles 75N,
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you should say that, because when I went and looked at a couple of, our video, for example, that we did 4 years ago, it's interesting because, the names of the people that were watching 4 years ago, there's only two or three. And, so people move on. People watch what you do. They watch your back.
Or life changes, whatever, right? Yep. You might work a new job, so you have different hours, so you can't tune in live. And it's amazing how many people there is that, or simply might just tune in and just hang back and don't necessarily participate in the chat, or stuff like that. Like, I catch a lot of your stuff on replay, because again, I don't keep the same hours I did a few years ago. There's brother Aaron, Albus Band, Josh.
Yeah. Good to see you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, Josh is one of the new ones.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah. Josh is, he's
great.
been on our channel in the chat a couple of times. I think he's from Europe, Switzerland, somewhere like that. Forgive me, bro, if I got the continent or the country wrong. But, I think you're right, Ben. I think it's one of the interesting things about what we do is, the names that come up in the chat become friends.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like, two of my best friends is Tom and Aaron. I talk to those guys all the time.
Wow.
Terry, I talk to all the time. It's funny, Andrew, I don't talk to anybody locally anymore. I don't have any local friends, really. Well, I have one or two. That's about it. I really don't have, hey, if I want to go to a restaurant, I'm sitting alone probably, because I don't know anybody locally anymore.
And, and Keith Van Halen Campbell, he's just phenomenal. He's been on our show a couple of times, and he's going to come back and do some more. This guy's just a Van Halen fanatic. Ben.
He is. And recent birthday boy, too. Celebrated his birthday live on air.
Yes, and condolences, bro, too, on the anniversary of your wife passing too, bro. Sad time. And one of the great things that Keith said when he was on our channel is that what helped him was, the friendship, Ben, that he had around our communities, with
I
our
agree.
friends and all
Having,
that.
losing my mother a year, almost 2 years ago now. This community, my phone blew up throughout the week. And it was
Wow.
no need to reply, just reaching out. Stuff like that. And the same thing when Dave Nesdale passed away. How many folks reached out? I was shocked. And thankful at the same time. But I see, like people saying, like average lifespan of a YouTube host. Well, the difference between this and traditional TV was we don't get to do reruns. In a sense, like you don't. If you take time off, you do get penalized in the algorithm because YouTube does expect you to put out content the same time every week.
Yeah.
So there is that, but
at least weekly. At least weekly,
Yeah.
Ben, from your research?
They would prefer daily.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But the funny part about that is, for someone, if you're a live-based channel, you do not want to go daily. Like,
No.
unless you're doing, okay, you're doing a little 20-minute show. Okay, you could do a 20-minute show every day, but not much more because people are going to burn out on you. So, yeah, things happen.
No, I didn't know that. I couldn't imagine, Ben, between you and me and everyone watching, I couldn't imagine going live daily. The amount of work.
I do
for
3
example,
a week, and that's more than enough.
Yeah. When we do a ranking of the tracks, the amount of work that, I couldn't do. I couldn't do that more than once a week. It would be impossible, Ben.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for what you do, no. Because, like, I don't know, what would be the equivalent? I'm just going to compare it to TV shows. You do almost like Game of Thrones-esque. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's more than just a 1 hour TV drama type thing. Like, you're doing more. Whereas, excuse me, my Canucks with Guitar show, where I got Terry and Tom co-hosting, technically we could do that nightly. Because it is just live Q&A. There's no set subject. But you would get burnout from that real quick. I'm fortunate with, my NASCAR show. It's myself and my cousin who used to have these phone calls every week anyways, except now we go live and do it. And it's like half an hour to an hour. And we have a weekly topic during the race season at least. And even then, when we go the off season, we switch it up to every other week. And it's a half-hour show every 2 weeks. Just, hey, this is what's going on in the industry because there's nothing going on in the industry. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
So Holly's got an interesting comment there. So the little vignettes that some of these channels put up daily, she gets it now. And Holly, I get it too.
Yeah, like shorts. YouTube loves shorts because they want to do the TikTok thing. And it's like, but I'm not going after that generation. Like, for every 21-year-old that tunes into my channel, I've got 1,000 45-year-old white men. So, it's like, I know what my viewing audience has no problem with long-form interviews, which is what you do, essentially. You know what I mean? Like what would you call it? The long-form, what used to be known as the long-form interview. Like, you tune into public broadcasting and they've got a 1 hour interview with somebody, so it's not the Tonight Show. We're not Boner Jams. Legend.
Hey,
Greg
Brandon.
Zeppelin.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, buddy. Oh, I never noticed he has a Rat Fink avatar. That's awesome. Rat Fink rules.
Yeah, I don't know. About
Josh says, hey, some of us are only 40.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But, like, what am I going to do for shorts? Hey, sail on guitar strings at the Long McQuaid. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see myself or any of our co-hosts doing anything like that, Ben, in the foreseeable future.
No, I debated making my first short this week, Andrew, and it was actually just going to be hey, I'm going to be on Andrew's channel on Friday night at 8 p.m. That's all. Like, that's the only time I would use it because that's all it's for. It's a little tidbit. Like, I'm giving out some info. But what are you going to do? Like, guitar setup tips in under a minute, and it has to be in vertical, which is my biggest pet peeve, is like, turn your phone horizontal. But they don't want that. They want it vertical. Correct. Because people are watching it on their phones. We're Correct. Guitar fans. We don't want to listen to a guitar like this through a little phone.
Well, you know, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works and say, well, maybe Ben, seriously, that might be something that you and I, as content creators and working with other
right after this.
Might have to do it. But the good thing with me is I've got co-hosts, so I can delegate that responsibility to some of my other co-hosts to do the
there
shorts.
You go. Yeah. I like
that. You're the main man on your channel, so who are you going to delegate the shorts to?
Terry or Tom? No. I don't. Yeah, it's funny. I learned a long time ago. Well, when I started the channel, it was kind of like starting my own band. I was like, I'm not delegating a thing. Other than I do delegate because I do Zoom calls for my patrons and channel members. We do a couple a month. Excuse me. Which is great. Except I don't know how to use Zoom, Andrew. I'll be honest. Unfortunately, one of my patrons said, hey, I use Zoom for a living. It's perfect. So he sets all that up. And I just show up. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, look, I think at the end of the day, Ben, it's something Keith. That we're going to have a look at. It's just another tool, I suppose. Another tool in the tool bag of YouTube.
Yeah, it's like doing tag words and stuff like that, and it's thumbnails. Ooh, thumbnails. Do they make a difference? I don't know, but I think it looks a little better. Looks like you put some effort into it, unless you're just choosing one of the three that YouTube gives you by default or something. Come on,
Ben. I think they do. I think, from my experience, I can't prove it. I've got no proof. I can't quantify it, but as a gut feeling between us, I think they do have some kind of effect.
I do them. That's why I take so many selfies when I would travel. I take photos with everybody because I figure eventually I'm going to have them on my channel as a guest. So I just use our selfie photo as the thumbnail. So apparently Terry's not up for doing shorts because he's tall. That's why.
Oh.
Dad jokes. That's why people subscribe, for the dad jokes.
Yeah. Well, look at the
again. I know my demographic, Andrew. 45-year-old white man. Yes. That's what it is.
Well, that's another statistic that if you guys aren't aware of, that YouTube give you. They give you the age of the people, the breakdown of the sex of the people that watch you, the countries that are watching you. So there's a lot of tools.
And I can tell by the chatters kind of what you're into. Like you can tell kind of the demographic. Guy comes in, he's like, "Do you like the latest?" And it's one of those bands, Andrew, where the guy sings like Cookie Monster and their logo is in some font that you can't even read and just looks like decrepitness of some. You're like, is that a bunch of sticks thrown on the ground? I don't know what that says. They're like, Napalm of Vengeance. I'm like, okay, you're probably young, wear a lot of black, probably play a black guitar with some points to it, probably has an extra string, and even then you don't tune to E standard. I get it.
Yeah. So Michael's saying from his experience, thumbnails make a huge difference. So it's got to a stage, Ben, where I have clickbait. So there's my clickbait there.
Yeah.
That's the one of the clickbaits that we use during the show, and also we use that. So we use clickbait as well, Ben. But
perfect.
But the clickbait we use are our own hosts. We don't use anything else.
I use the guests, and I've been fortunate. A couple guests that I've had that have been decent let's say fairly well-known guitar players. They're like, can you not use these photos? Here's some great publicity photo. I'm like, sure, thanks. Do I need to give photo credit?
And that's one thing that we do too on our channel, Ben, is, when we get guests on, we ask them, we say, would you like to supply a photo that we can use for a show card? Because if I go on to your page, Ben, and get one where you're eating a pizza, and use that, you might go, why is that mongrel using me eating a pizza as
Right. I was just like, yeah, do I have? There's not a lot of photos of me since, one, I stopped traveling, and two, not playing in a band. Man, there's a one good thing, even playing in a bar band, since everyone's got a camera phone, there's like 18 photos of you posted on social media by the time you get home from the gig. Possibly some video of you playing too. And then immediately, whoever posts the video, you mirror, hey, can you email me that video so I can put it up on my band page? Sure.
Yeah. There's a comment that you made a little bit earlier, Ben, about bands and the way that you orientate that perspective into running your YouTube channel. That's the way I see it too. I see doing this as a gig.
Yep.
This is you prepare yourself, you have a bit of an idea of what you're going to do, and then you go live, and bang, you're doing your gig for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yep.
And then you
Load-in's
go home.
a lot easier now, Andrew. Load-in is much easier. You're not packing 2 amps, 3 or 4 guitars, a PA system. No, you just show up. I love it. A laptop, perfect. Camera, microphone, done. I would, and if I had the better bandwidth, I'd go back to actually playing live on here, which even amongst the quagmire known as copyright, having a monetized channel, trying to play music on YouTube. That's why I play more original music. But
sure,
on one hand, easy gig. I just show up, turn on the stuff, and start playing, which is great. On the other hand, Andrew, it's like the worst gig ever because you're playing for a room full of guitar players. So it can go either way.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you, and I think that's one of the interesting things too about it. And so I'd be keen to hear, Ben, about your thoughts about gigging again. Is that something that you've got planned, or is it permanently on hold?
Yes and no, all the above. I debate it from time to time, and then my back is like, really? In my hands aren't what they used to be, unfortunately. Okay. I don't know if part of that's just being out of playing shape, but I do know my hands hurt a lot more than they used to after playing. And it's a variety of things. If I do it, it's got to be my band, my way, I think, at this point in life. I don't want to deal with a lot of the BS of having a band. So, and honestly, if I do another band, it will be probably largely original music, and we'll just live stream each week.
Sure.
We'll just do it here and just live stream it type thing through, if we use virtual amps or, an electronic drums type thing and just go through cans, it's fine. I used to rehearse that way. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And then that way too, you don't have to load in, you don't have to load out, you don't have to book gigs. And, you just hope you develop enough of a following that you can, generate enough income off of it to pay the boys. Which by today's gigging stance, really, it's, if you give each guy $80 at the end of the night, they're happy. Sad as that is.
Okay. Yeah. But, to be fair though, a lot of guys that are playing, and I mean this respectfully, if people are in the chat and going to watch playing in pub bands or club bands, 9 times out of 10 you're doing it because you want to do it, Ben.
That's true.
We're not, it's not something that you're doing unless you go professional, and there's always a circuit locally for you to be able to go and do that. But if you're working,
that's the thing. And I would compare it to like if we're playing original music, I know what original bands are going to make for a set, which is not much. So
sure,
if they want to go that route, that's great. And if they're into it just for the music, all the better, because then the pressure's off to have that other end to come in. It's weird, it's one thing I have been accused of over the years is, playing a bit, oh, you're doing it for the money. Well, yeah, I'm a professional. I don't expect my plumber buddy to come over and fix my sink for free. Why should I play for free? And that was instilled for me growing up in the music business. Especially when back then the musicians union was much stronger, so wages were much higher. My dad was president of the local chapter of the union, handled a lot of contracts, worked at music festivals as a kid, even, seeing what it takes in the infrastructure and seeing people the guys in the suits getting rich off the artists. So I've always been very cognizant of that. So yeah, it's always, where's the room? How big is it? And what do we make? That's usually my 3 questions for a gig. Hey, Will.
Yeah, good to see you. Well, it's one of the interesting things, isn't it, about the music industry? During the 60s and 70s, you had record companies and executives, and we know it because we've read the books, we've seen the videos and the movies ripping the artists off. The movie at the moment now that everyone's talking about, clearly, plainly for us, if anyone didn't know, Colonel Tom Parker in the Elvis film, 50% of everything, and just doing a great job.
Elvis comes into your studio, you give him a song, and they're like, we're taking half the publishing.
Yeah.
No, sorry. But guaranteed hit. So, a lot of guys did it. Sell your soul for the first one because you're going to make the money on the back end, because all of a sudden you got all these other flavors of the week, which was a lot of. Music industry's gone full circle in many ways, Andrew. We're back to that. The companies have all the power. The artists are merely a flavor of the week. There's nothing lasting. It's like, name a hit from 3 years ago. Exactly. Always cognizant of that. Definitely. And that's not to say there are times you play for free, like, charity situations and stuff like that. I have no problem doing that. But that's a karma gig. We'd always call those karma gigs. Those are good for you. Mm-hmm. So, no problem with that.
Yeah. Well,
social media can let you sell at stadiums, possibly.
Yeah. Let us know if that's, something that you're going to do, if you want to, get something going on YouTube or any music projects that you've got coming up.
I do have a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. A local guy, he's had a home studio for like 20 years, refined it. He actually recorded one of my band's albums before I joined the band, and I thought it sounded good at that time, and he's still refining. But he's recently started a record label, and so we are sitting down for a meeting in a couple of weeks because I do have a fair amount of material I've worked on the last couple of years that's not seen the light of day, and it's a lot of partial stuff. Some stuff's fairly close to being done, and it's like, I'm looking for someone to collaborate with who has a studio. I can just show up. This is what I got.
Wow.
Bounce ideas, and so we'll see what happens out of the meeting. So I was talking with him last night, night before. I can't remember which. So he works out of town during the week, unfortunately. So
awesome. You got any more trips planned to the States? Any music?
Not at this moment. My traveling is completely on hiatus right now due to obligations outside of YouTube. Sure. So, actually, we're all amongst family. My father has Parkinson's, so I'm his living caregiver at this point in time. So I can't travel, basically. So unless we get something else going on, live in nurse or whatever, you know what I mean? Unless he's taken care of, I can't travel. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we hope
other than day trips,
we hope that situation, might change for you, because I know that, going to NAMM was always something that you wanted to do regularly. It was, it was always something that you, that was a feature of your channel. Yeah, so maybe you'd like to spend a bit of time just letting people know about some of your experiences of your NAMM trip.
Well, yeah. I saw, as part of doing YouTube, travel to these events. I'm try to think, a few months after starting my channel, there's an event in Toronto we hit. Very small event, but it was cool. Got an idea. But then went to Sweetwater's Gear Fest later that summer, and that was fun. A bit bigger. And then the following January, because of the YouTube community as much as anything else, I was able to attend NAMM. And what an amazing experience on multiple levels. Meeting fellow YouTubers, which was awesome. Of course, networking with companies to hopefully work together as far as product demos, things like that. Yeah, exactly, Will. Exactly. And, it's like, say, meeting, it was as much the hang as anything else, was meeting the fellow YouTubers in person and members of the community, staying at our friend JJ's house and paddling around with him for a week was amazing. Speaking of which, JJ will be coming on my channel this coming Monday, Andrew, and we're going to be talking about his new band, Star Zero, who are debuting tomorrow. Their first gig is tomorrow. So I'm going to be talking about that. Ooh, interesting. That would be interesting. We could talk about that. We can look into that. So, yeah, and then, going to Nashville, which is a whole different experience with Aaron from Elvis Band and getting No Good down there, of course, which was fun. And documenting it. It's all there on my channel. Mm-hmm. Yep. Completely hosed on Broadway. Yep, did that.
Yep.
So, and then back to California, with JJ and Aaron, because as the community grows, Andrew, then the party, and then next thing you know, we're hanging out with Laz comes down for the end of that, and we over at Sean Pierce Johnson's house, and it's just crazy. Like say, people I talk to more than anybody else are these members of the community. So, and they have become like family in many ways.
How many years ago was that, Ben?
What was?
NAMM, when you went to NAMM.
Right before COVID hit. It was January 2020, the end of January.
Wow.
Yeah, and we knew about it, and it was kind of a joke. Kind of like, be careful who you talk to, you might get the COVID, because we didn't really know anything about it. It's like, can it be worse than anthrax?
Yeah, it was a joke here in January that same year too, and then in April we were in complete lockdown for 4 weeks, Ben. So, but we're not going to talk about that.
Tom does call me all the time, which is awesome.
Okay, so I suppose the good thing though, Ben, is that that's always something on the radar for you to go and do. Later on, you've got the connections, you've got the contacts there to go there, and and
I think what I'm looking to do now, maybe, because like retail stores are back open, maybe do some road trips, say a couple hours drive each way, to some various music stores, check them out, say, hey, do you mind if I film in here a bit? I did one of those last year. Went to Tundra Music, which is really cool used music store outside of Toronto. And I knew about their online presence from the Reverb store, but going there, and hey, they even had one of Eddie's old 5150 heads in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was the better part of $15,000, but it was in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, that's a first gen. And he's like, oh, you know about that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I watch Andrew. No, it's like, yes.
Hey, So do they have anything like the NAMM in the States? Is there anything like that in Canada? Do they have,
sort of. Ibanez traditionally would do their own little show in Montreal.
Okay.
Ironically enough, 2 weeks before NAMM in January. So I knew about the Ibanez stuff before NAMM every year because it was here 2 weeks earlier. And then Cosmo Music does Cosmo Music Fest, which is similar to Sweetwater. So you do have a handful of vendors.
Okay.
But it's literally like 30 to 50 booths. And I remember the last time I went there in 2019, and I'm not going to say who, I won't name them by name because I'd be throwing them under the bus, but I ran into a couple fellow YouTubers from Ontario, so figure it out. And we're like, hey, how's it going? You know, we end up having lunch together. That was great. But like, I'm walking around and I was interviewing Sammy Bowler in the Friedman booth.
Wow.
And, you know, so I'm doing the interview and they're standing there watching me interview. And I'm like, aren't you guys going to film anything? And they said, well, you are. Yeah. Well, we have the same subs, you know, because it's all the Fruitcake Tonys and the Bent Toms. It was like,
Sure.
yeah, but your opinion, just you simply covering a booth is going to be different than me because you're going to point out one or two different things than I would. And I just went, okay, fine. Now, I don't know. Maybe at that time I might have had 400 or 500 more subs than them, and now I have thousands. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So
what's the lesson there, Ben? Film everything.
Oh, always have your phone handy in camera mode. Like,
yep.
Just for the simple, if you like to stargaze.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, there's some, you know, like the first time we showed up there, the first booth we walk into is a cymbal booth. Somehow Richie gets dragged in a cymbal booth. You know, and the guy's like, oh, check out our latest crash cymbals. I'm like, I do not care. I see George Lynch walking by. So guess where I went, Andrew? I went over and met George Lynch.
Yeah.
So, you know, which was like 15 seconds of hi, nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. This is outside of Toronto, just out north of Toronto, Keith. So basically Toronto. And then I come back and Rich is like, where were you? I said, I just met George Lynch. He says, you weren't gone more than a minute. That's all it takes.
Great.
So, yeah, head on a swivel, you know, and keep your camera handy, your phone handy. And the nice thing about Cosmo Music Fest is even though there's not as many vendors, it is a superstore, huge music store, and they carry basically everything. But they also have a whole music festival outside, which could be a variety of... Canada is weird. They blow the budget every other year, so we have Americans every other year, and then like 1 year it's all Canadian bands. I'm like, oh, you blew the budget last year on Richie Kotzen, didn't you? They're like, yeah. And that's why we have Kim Mitchell and Sloan this year. Yeah. And April Wine. And so you do get to see a who's who of Canadian rock, which is awesome.
Sure.
But I did get to see Richie Kotzen play live, which was, wow, that guy's talented.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned Kotzen because, you know, he's on the road now. He posted some posts on his Instagram where he's got his bus and he's going to be on the road for 6 weeks. I've been a Kotzen fan for years too. You know, the album that he did recently with Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. Go and check it out. It's
phenomenal.
Yeah. Just a killer guitar player, great singer-songwriter. I became aware of him, Ben, when he joined Poison. I didn't know of him before he was
I knew of him before. I heard him first in Poison, but I saw him in guitar magazines because he had hair and holding, like, I think he was endorsed by Ibanez at the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's
my experience.
He looked like a shredder, and I wasn't really into that too much. Like, I'm one of these people, like, well, you know how it is, Andrew, when one band makes it and then there's like 4 clone bands within 6 months behind them. I pick one of the bands, and that's the band I like. You know, for shredder, if we want to call it that, I had Eddie Van Halen. I don't care about the rest. I really don't, you know, because I'm just like, it's shades of Eddie, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and that's dismissive, I know, but that's me. So, you know, when I saw Kotzen, I'm like, he's another guy playing Ibanez. He probably, you know, Satriani, Vi, they all shred, whatever. You know, and then I heard the Poison album, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, there's more. Because he's got soul as well, and it's clear in his playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a little bit like you. I knew the name, but I wasn't listening to that stuff either back then. Poison certainly came on. You got a Stand.
They were kind of the last of that genre, though. I think whoever came out after Poison, I really didn't pay attention to.
Yeah, that single that they released, Stand, was fantastic, written by him. And that's what alerted me to the guy. And you know that guy has released over 20 albums.
Yep. Wasn't he playing with Dead Daisies too?
Can't recall, brother. Can't recall. If somebody in the chat can
they've had a bit of a revolving lineup in the Dead Daisies, but I think he did a stint with them for some reason. Well, it might be Doug Aldrich now.
He was in the band Mr. Big, played with Mr. Big, you know,
Yep.
so just a fantastic guy.
He
Phenomenal.
was kind of the super sub, right? CC
Yeah,
leaves Poison, he goes in. Paul Gilbert
yeah.
leaves Mr. Big. Kotzen comes. So, okay, he can fill the shoes.
But yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. The guy's got soul.
Yeah, and I wanted to
Yeah,
hear him live because, like, quite often what we hear on the album is the 53rd take on day
sure.
3.
Yeah,
So like I was like, I want to hear this because, for someone who's apparently a great guitar player and singer, I want to hear it. And, I heard it and I went, yep, okay.
yeah, yeah. Jeff T's hitting the nail on the head there. I remember it was about 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when Kotzen got rid of the pick and he started using his fingers
Yeah.
and
And then, and the challenge was, how do I play all my material that I used to use a pick on without a pick?
yeah, yeah.
Right?
I think
Because
it
it's
was the
easy to write new material going forward without a pick, but how do you play the back catalog?
yeah, I think it was the album that came out in 2010. Is it Peace Frog or Peace or something like that, where he ditched his pick, and it's like, how can this guy do this without a pick? And Benny just goes on, carries on. It's just like I can't hear the difference.
It's like Beck, right? Jeff Beck, same deal.
Yes, that's right. He's from PA, Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yes, Pennsylvania. Yeah,
And
Reading,
he
Pennsylvania.
and Bent's seen him in his local shop. Wow, fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I just think the guy's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I envy you having the opportunity, Ben, to see him live. Envy you.
Well, it just happened. I was really shocked because George Lynch didn't play a set. He was there doing a clinic because they have a bit of an auditorium in there. Like Pete Thorne's done clinics at the store and stuff. So there was people there doing clinics. There was other people there performing, but then everybody would come out because they had a big autograph table set up and lineups for ages.
How do clinics work
It's
over
great. It
there
was a
in Canada?
madhouse. The last year, Geddy Lee had just released his big book of basses. Okay.
Oh, phenomenal book.
So he's going to do a book signing at Cosmo Music Fest.
Yep.
So Dave Grohl decides to be Geddy's chauffeur for the day.
Oh, wow.
So like a black SUV shows up and Dave Grohl gets out of the driver's seat and comes around and opens the door. What? Only Dave Grohl, right? And then apparently Alex Lifeson wanted to come over because, Geddy's there. So then Dave leaves, drives across Toronto, like worst traffic in Canada. Okay, picks up Alex and brings him back. Okay.
Yeah,
I can only think of Kotzen and Jeff Beck off the top of my head.
Awesome. How do the clinics...
Lindsey Buckingham as well.
Awesome.
Beyond that, I'm not sure. I don't know. Most bands I've listened to, the bass players even use a pick, so what do I know? Yeah. That's supposed to be a really good book, Fruitcake Tony. I've heard. Because he's been around, and he's played in a number of acts. That'd be a good book. Okay,
Awesome.
Greg's did his Mrs. Colleague's husband did security for Dave Grohl, probably. Nice. I'd like to meet Dave Grohl. He's one of those guys I'd really like to meet because he seems like a really nice guy. Can't say I've met any real jerks since I started doing this YouTube thing, in person or on shows, which is nice. Which says something. The industry is pretty cool as a whole, I will say. I'd like to see Billy Gibbons. I'd like to meet Billy Gibbons. Just shake Billy's hand. Just say thank you. Thank you for kicking tail for half a century or plus. Just thank you, Billy. And he'd probably just, it ain't no thing. Okay, thanks. But NAMM, you definitely get to see a few stars there. Met Paul Gilbert at the last NAMM show. He was busy doing clinics, and he says, "Here, let's walk and talk." That man walks fast because he's, I don't know, like 17 feet tall or something. And I tried to keep up. And then he laughed, and then he handed me a guitar pick, which is up here somewhere, which I think I was supposed to send to Fruitcake Tony at one time. And then I totally forgot until now. There it is. Is that it? Yep. Maybe. Easy. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
Come on. Focus. How do you do this each week, Tony? There you go. Maybe do a custom back. Yes,
Awesome.
exactly,
Awesome.
Keith. Long stride like Groot.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're at the hour and 30 mark for the show. We do appreciate the fact that we've had about, at one stage, I think, Ben, about 28 or 29 people watching the stream. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have people watching us live. And if you've managed on the rerun to get this far into the show and you haven't switched off or flicked to another YouTube channel, please, it's really important. Can you subscribe to our channel? Share our link on your social media accounts. Ben's channel will be attached to this video, even though he's on our channel's page. And again, I want to make a point, please.
I'll say hi in the chat so you know who I am.
Go and subscribe to all our friends on our community page. It's really, really important. If you want to come on and hang out and do what I've just done with Ben and in the future, give me a yell. Love to have you on. If you want to come on.
I'm always looking for new guests for the Sunday night hang, Sunday nights.
Yeah. Ben just said it. So you guys have permanent invitations. If you want to come and hang out and spend an hour and a half with us talking about guitars and your experiences, favorite bands, favorite albums.
Yep,
we'll do that. But it's
and
it's
if
really
you have
important.
lots to talk about, it's less work for us as the hosts.
Yeah. That's right.
Don't you mind it when your guests are long-winded? No, no. Unless the chat's flying with questions. No.
Subscribe, good sir. Look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Josh.
Awesome, Josh.
I'm going to get Ben very soon to quickly go back and say goodbye to everybody. But thank you for your support. Thank you for helping our channel over the years, guys, and recently. Thank you for helping Ben.
You guys a shout out. You know, whenever you jump in my chat, that's the trigger. You know, you see somebody in chat, you're like, yes, they're one of the good ones. Everyone, go check them out.
What, another YouTube channel? Yeah. Top show. Will. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate it. We're going to be back here tomorrow on the channel. Brad and I are going to be ranking the tracks on Raw, ZZ Top's latest release, which is the songs off the documentary album that came out a couple of years ago.
Cool.
If you guys are familiar with the channel, you know that Brad is a ZZ Top nut, so we do look forward to him leading that show. The Rock Professor's not with us. He's going to be watching live because he's taken his family to Spain for a couple of weeks. So the Rock Professor will be watching with the ruler in the chat.
Love it. Love it.
Ben, it's been great hanging out with you, brother. We've got to do this again.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for all the support you've given us right from the word go.
Right back at you, brother. You know, whenever I get a chance to jump in your chat immediately, you're always give me a shout out, or to not interrupt someone's talking on screen. You'll pop up on screen like Greg here. I appreciate your support and like we're both the alumni of the class of 2018. We're both still going at it, growing, which is awesome to see, all around as the community grows, which is amazing. And just keep doing what you're doing, my friend, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. And we'll definitely, I might have to do a special day or night time. Work around your schedule and do something on my channel, because you've popped on a few times,
Yeah.
here and there, but we haven't sat down and had a good chat over there. And it's mostly the same folks, but it's different, which is awesome. That's what I love about it. There's always a few new folks at the table. So
and we'll promote anybody. If any of our friends in the chat want to go out and do what Ben and I are doing with some friends.
Speaking of which, if you're not sick of me already, tomorrow night I'm going to be on Fruitcake Tony's channel.
Yeah.
Talking Nazareth. That's right. Recap.
Yeah. Good Scottish band.
Yes.
They're not from Jerusalem, trust me, or Israel.
And now I consider them a Canadian band, because I think they all relocated to Canada.
Oh, Canadians claim everything.
Sure. We claim Paul Rogers. He even became a citizen, so he's a full-on Canuck at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's been living outside of Vancouver the last 20 years. Became a Canadian citizen and everything.
I did not know that he became a Canadian citizen.
Yep.
I did not know that.
I didn't know it until I saw him in an interview and he said that. And I went, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like he just married a Canadian girl and became a citizen. Like, he actually became a citizen.
Yeah. Not like Neil Young. Hey.
No, Neil's still a Canadian, although he hasn't lived in Canada for like half a century. Well, I'm still a Canadian. Are you, Neil? You've been living outside San Jose since the 70s. Oh, no, I get up to Canada. Yeah, that's called touring, Neil. That's called touring. That's not the same.
We love Neil Young. We love him, don't
Neil. Yes. Neil Young says anybody can play guitar and sing.
Really?
A hell of a songwriter.
Oh. That guy is releasing his archives, just about every week? Every week there's a release.
I remember by the time I got into playing in the early, late 80s, early 90s, he already had 50 albums at that time. So, a lot of it was, you could have taken 5 albums and made one out of them, but he didn't care, because he's just like, here's an album of the month. Here's he was just so prolific. And some of it, which is awesome, he's releasing, because we all know the hits, Andrew, but then he'd have one like, here, it's all electronica. You're like, but it's 1981. There was no electronica. Well, there was enough for Neil to make an album, and you listen to it, and it's like nothing you've ever heard before. And then he's like, oh, that didn't go well. I'll make a country album now. Okay.
Yeah. I was a Neil Young nut back then, and I remember when Trans came out, and I remember, we were floored by it, and then Floating on Water, or Landing on Water, came out in the mid-1980s. Horrible album. And then Everybody's Rocking, which is not too bad, where he's doing rockabilly. But gosh, he's got some interesting albums, Ben.
But then every once in a while, you can tell, like, if the bills start piling up, you just drop, like, this note's for you, and it's just huge.
Yeah.
Or everyone's like, do another harvest. He's like, all right, here it is.
Mirror Ball, when that came out, that was a great album in the early 1990s.
Huge. And then he was known as the godfather of grunge. He's like, I've just been playing loud for 20 years. That's on you guys. Well, you dress like one of us. No, you all dress like Neil Young.
I got to do a quick little shout out. Chris Live Sauer is going to go and see Uncle Ted, Ted Nugent. Man, that's going to be great. I look forward, Chris, to your review on that gig. I'm sure it will be a killer.
Nice.
Ben, you want to do a shout out, brother?
Let's do it.
Everybody. Goodbye.
Keith Campbell. Peace, my friend. See you, Christopher. We got Nightbot. Stay out of trouble, Nightbot. I don't trust you. Greg, great to meet you. Gretchen Zeppelin, I'll see you. Who else do we have in here? We got Fruitcake Tony. I'll definitely see you tomorrow night. 24 hours from now, we'll be live on his channel. Yep, amazing how that works. Holly Lewis, always a pleasure. Robert Ramford, love you, brother. We got Brother Bent Tom in here. Josh, he had to leave, I think. Or he's still here, I don't know. Jeff T. Who else did we have in here? Will Varela. Michael Kraus. There's Ben Tom. Johnny Heartbreaker. Great meeting Johnny. I know Aaron from Albus Band stopped in. Dana of New Jersey was in here. I'm just going off the top of my head because it's the same people talking over. John Duchesne and Symmetry. They're probably all headed over to Tone Talk. They're big Tone Talk heads. We love Tone Talk too. Tone Talk. Speaking of which, I have the Tone Talk guys coming on my channel on September 4th.
Send us the link and we'll share it.
Yeah. Apparently, I'll have to brush up on my amplifier knowledge. Probably not. We'll let Dave Friedman answer those questions. He knows more than me.
Awesome. Send us the link, bro. We'll advertise it because that'll be a killer show.
Yeah, I'm actually going to make that link up more than 6 hours in advance, which is what I usually do. Sunday afternoon, I'm like, I go to share the link on someone's channel. I'm like, why haven't you made the link yet?
Ben,
thumbnail.
Come on, Ben. You should be doing it 6 days beforehand. Ben, come on.
Hey, I'm still the guy that when the video comes out Wednesday, that's because I shot it Tuesday afternoon. I'm editing it Tuesday evening, uploading it Tuesday night to make public Wednesday morning.
Oh my Lord. Hilarious.
That's how I roll. Yeah, what
All
they
right.
call that? Just in time? It's like, that's why we have supply chain issues. God help me if I lose internet for a day, because there's nothing in the pipe.
Oh, awesome. Just a few questions. So Dave is like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. What Dave are we talking about?
Dave Friedman.
Oh, sorry. I had another Dave in my mind. Sorry. I was a million miles away. Sorry.
Well,
sorry.
I try. Keith
sorry,
Campbell says I have awesome humor and content. I just play up my personality. I just, it's like, when your parents told you, settle down, Andrew. You're getting a little, just calm. You're usually hanging out with one of your cousins and they're like, just calm down. No, that's what you let loose. That's what you put on camera. Just you on 10.
All right, guys. I'll have Ben's link here. Again, if you're watching, if you haven't subscribed to Ben's channel, it'll be here on this on the stream somewhere. Please go and send him a sub. When you subscribe to him, tell him that the 5150 show sent you. Please.
Yes.
Please do.
I'm always curious because, when someone subscribes, you're like, how did you find out about me? You always wonder when you see a new name in a chat.
Correct.
Where'd you come from?
Yeah. Always tell. Subscribe, everybody. Oh, and one other thing, one other little bit of advice, Ben, that I need to give to anybody that might be watching. Subscribe to people that subscribe to you. Don't be one of these channels that solicits subscribers and you don't take the time yourself to sit down in front of your computer and subscribe back. Don't be a meanie. Don't be a stingy. Go and subscribe to the people that subscribe to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's my little rant. Is that okay?
That's okay. I know Keith Campbell loves rants, so I let him have a couple tonight. So there you go. And we didn't even talk about Dane electro guitars. Perfect.
No. Oh no. No. We can't talk about those guitars.
900 Canadian new.
Oh. What? No.
No.
$90.
Yes. Exactly.
$90, Ben. Not 900.
Right. No. There's Charles 75N. My guest on this Sunday will be Charles 75N.
Awesome. All right. I promise we're out of here, guys. We got to go.
Yep.
We're out.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll just wave until he hits the end button. That's how that works.
Yeah. You just keep your hand up.
Yeah. How many beats per minute can we keep this up for? Don't know.